Hey everyone, this is Crystal, and today I am working in my coffee TN for 2020. This is the photo I'll be scrapbooking. It is of some coffee I purchased for myself, a bit on a whim, I guess. So I normally get the fall blend from Starbucks. It's one of the only actual Starbucks coffees that I buy each year. I really like it. It kind of signals the beginning of fall for me. It was sitting right next to these other two, and I just couldn't resist trying them. I'm normally not a flavored coffee person, especially not a pumpkin spice, but I was just feeling all the fall vibes and really wanted to try them. So I picked up all three. I snapped a photo so that I could add it to my coffee TN. And that's what I'm going to do today. I've also been considering moving this out of an actual TN. This is the one I started. I've only actually done one page in here so far for this year. I have some photos printed and a bunch more to add to it, but I haven't actually done the pages. So I've been trying to decide whether or not just to tear this out of here and add it to a Life Crafted album, just because I know it's going to get super bulky, and I know I have a lot of photos I want to document in this traveler's notebook this year. So I think what I'm going to do for today is just to work outside of the notebook, and then later on make a decision about whether I want to add it back into the notebook or whether I want to move it to a Life Crafted album. So that is my plan. I have some pieces from Colorcast Designs. I have this currently piece with this wood veneer that goes with it, and then I have two other wood veneer circles, this one with just the coffee on it, and then this one says Pumpkin Kisses and Harvest Wishes. I thought both would be perfect for this photo. For supplies, I've grabbed these two paper pads. These are from Park Lane, which is available at Joann. It's the Woodland paper pad in both 6x8 and 12x12. I picked these up last year. I don't think I've used them at all, so I thought it would be nice to kind of start using them. They're super cute. I don't normally buy this kind of paper pad, like one from Joann at all. But I was shopping for something else and saw it, and it was on sale, and I thought it was adorable, and so I picked it up. So that is what I'll be using for paper. I did grab one journal card to add some journaling. This is an old Studio Calico card. And then in with all of my fall things, I had this baggie of, I don't know, random bits, I guess. Some die cut pieces and punched pieces and things I cut out of other pieces. So I'm thinking surely in here there will be something I can use to embellish this page along with these. So that is my plan. I am going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and get started.
I'm going to start by going through the 12 by 12 paper pad to find a paper to use as my background. So the pages of a traveler's notebook are just slightly taller than 8 inches. I think it's 8 1/4 for this particular traveler's notebook. So the 6x8 pad wouldn't work, and it's not really a true 6x8 pad anyway because there is a hole like where they hang the paper pad on the display at the top of the page, so you can't get a full 6x8 page from that notebook anyway. So I'm just going to grab one from the 12 by 12 and cut it down to fit a traveler's notebook. When I cut it down the first time, I was thinking the wrong dimensions. I actually cut it to the dimensions of a Life Crafted album instead of the traveler's notebook that I have in front of me. I realized it very quickly though, and go ahead and grab that traveler's notebook and a ruler to try and measure the exact size of these pages. I'm pretty sure I'm going to move this into a Life Crafted album at this point, but I still wasn't sure when I was creating it, so I wanted to make sure I wouldn't have to cut anything down. I wouldn't create my page with things on the outside that needed to be taken off if I decided to glue it into this notebook. But it's not going to be an issue because I'm fairly certain that I'm going to move it to a Life Crafted album, especially because I'm using this really thick acrylic piece in here, and that's just not going to work very well in a regular traveler's notebook. So I trimmed them down to be, I think it was like 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 for this traveler's notebook. I know that some traveler's notebooks are slightly different in dimension. This one, I don't even remember where it's from. It could be Webster's Pages, maybe. yeah, I just grabbed it from my little box of different inserts. But yeah, it was 8 1/4 by 4 1/4. So that's what I've trimmed this down to. And then I am going to use the 6 by 8 pad just to pull in a couple other patterns to layer behind my pieces, just to add in a bit more color and a bit more texture. So I've chosen to, there are so many cute patterns in this paper pad, and I ended up going with 3 that are pretty basic, that are pretty simple. So just these 2, this one plaid and a polka dot, and then the wood grain background. But I really liked the colors. They worked really well with my photo, so I felt like it worked. Plus, you weren't going to be able to see any of the pattern really if in using it as these mats behind my photo. So I didn't really want to waste any of those gorgeous patterns on just a photo mat. So I will definitely be using those in other projects in the near future, hopefully, since we are actually in fall now, and I feel like I can get into fall documenting in full force. Okay, so the layout of this page is going to be pretty simple. I generally have a hard time doing anything more complicated in a traveler's notebook than just kind of this basic layout that I tend to do a lot, just because there's not a lot of space. There's, very limited area to work in, and if I had done a full page photo or something, that would have changed things, but I had already printed this photo at this size, so this is what I had to work with. I'm actually creating this away from home. I don't believe I mentioned that in the introduction, but I am actually at my mom's, which I've recorded videos at her house before, so you may be familiar with the environment around me. But it means that I don't have all of my supplies with me. I took just a small amount of things when I went down to visit her last week, and didn't have some of the things that I maybe would have chosen to use on this page if I had taken everything, or if I was in my own home. So I was a bit limited, but it actually ends up working out. It was kind of nice to have just a few supplies to work from and have to choose my elements based on what I had with me, and it was kind of a good challenge, and I'm really happy with the way that this page turns out in the end, so I think it worked out for me. So like I said, this is a just a little baggie of random bits. I think that these were from my Thankful 30 album from 2018. I think that's how long they've just been sitting in this baggie. These were the leftover elements from that album. I'm pretty sure. But they've been in my little bin of fall goodies ever since then. And so I just, I had brought that entire basket of things with me, which it actually turns out there isn't a lot in there. I thought there was more, but there wasn't, which is fine. But I had this in there, so I decided just to use it to embellish this page. I knew there were lots of leaves that I had die cut from scraps of paper using some metal dies. So I knew that would work on this fall page. I knew that there were some cut aparts or digital, I guess, sticker sheets from Illustrated Faith that I had cut apart, that I had fussy cut out. I knew there were a few of those in here, like that pumpkin that I end up using on this page. I also knew that there were some things from that My Thankful 30 kit from 2018, which I had the digital kit that year, so I had printed out some things in duplicate and had a few extras in this baggie as well. And I do end up using a couple of the little word strips from that kit, as well as some hearts also that I had die cut from scraps of paper back then, using some heart dies that I have. I believe they're a Lawn Fawn die set of like wonky hearts, which I'm not sure if it's available anymore, but I will definitely check. I'm pretty sure that the leaf dies I have are not available anymore. I think that those were some older dies that I had from many years ago, so I don't think I can link to those, but if I can find that Lawn Fawn heart set, I definitely will link to that. As for the rest of the elements I'm using on the page, obviously the ColorCast design things will be linked below, but I think most everything else is not going to be available anymore. Okay, so I've chosen a few items from that baggie to use on this page. I'm kind of just figuring out how everything is going to work together here before I glue anything down, but it ends up coming together really quickly. I kind of like the way it looks just as it is. I'm going to add a few more little bits and pieces here, and then I'm just going to start gluing things down. So like I said, a pretty simple page overall. I don't do anything complicated. I don't do anything groundbreaking, but it gets this story documented, which is really what, this is all about. So I've given myself lots of room to journal too, which I don't tend to always do. For some reason, I tend to journal more in my traveler's notebooks than on my 12 by 12 pages, which is maybe a little bit strange. But yeah, I'm really glad that I can document this story, as silly as it may be. It's just about coffee, but that's what this entire traveler's notebook is about. So I I don't know why I oh I do well. I was inspired by Diane of Daily D to create a coffee themed traveler's notebook in the first place, and I think it's because you know it honestly is a pretty big part of my life, coffee. And I like to look back and think about the different coffee shops I visited or the different types of coffee that I've tried. And it's just something that's fun for me. It's something I can just do for fun. So that's really what it's all about here. Okay, so I'm gluing these little elements down using my new craft glue from scrapbook.com. This is the Smart Craft Glue, and I totally dripped it all over the place. I do it twice, so you're going to see me make a total mess of my page twice, but luckily it cleans up really easily and it didn't leave any marks. Everything ended up being fine, but I am used to using my fine liner bottle, and I have to squeeze so hard to get that thing to work that I just totally squeezed way too hard with this little bottle, which actually, the glue flows from it really easily, so I didn't need to squeeze that hard, and in doing so, it just dripped everywhere. But I cleaned it up. It's not any worse for the wear, and everything turns out just fine. So I've glued all of those elements down. I chose to use liquid glue for the leaves because I wanted the edges of the leaves, the kind of tops of the leaves, to stick out to lift up off the page. I'm not adding any foam or anything behind them, but this just kind of lets them sit up off the page naturally. And I was worried that the tape runner wouldn't be enough to hold them in place by just adding a little bit to the bottoms of them, so I used the liquid glue to really get them stuck to the page, especially if this is not going to be in a pocket. If it's just going to be out, then I want to make sure that they're not going to fall off. I use the same glue for the acrylic piece, and then I will slip in this little phrase just below it. Of course, I totally mess it up too and get it stuck underneath, and I have to peel it up and replace it where it needs to be. But again, it's not a big deal. And because this glue is matte and dries clear, you won't even be able to see any little bits of glue that are around that acrylic piece where maybe I didn't get it lined up perfectly with where I had it the first time. And of course, the wood veneer is self-adhesive, so I don't have to worry about adhesive on that. So it's one of the reasons I love the wood veneers from Colorcast Designs, that and how thin they are, because they are just like amazingly thin and always beautifully printed. Okay, so I'm nearly done here. I will do my journaling off camera, but you'll see it in the close-up photos here at the end. I hope that you enjoyed watching this process and were able to find some inspiration. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all back here very soon.